Hello and welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer, bringing you, I guess, a little bit of a list analysis. I kind of got the bug with Dwarves recently. I played them at a recent tournament, and I had a pretty good time with them. I mean, they're not as mobile, or you certainly lose a lot by not playing in the Magic phase, really. But I kind of enjoyed that the game was a little bit quicker, and there's certain aspects that I really haven't explored, especially being so mainly a VC player since I got back into Warhammer, where I didn't even have Warmachines until the Undead Legions came out, and I was able to access some stuff with Undead Legions rules. But given that I have a number of friends who play tournaments, and whether or not I'm going to play in any of these events or not, I might actually look to build some strange armies to play against them to practice for ETC or Swedish comp, and maybe even at some point join in myself if I can be sufficiently converted into that phase. I still don't like either of those comps. I don't mind a little bit of comp, and I don't want to talk about comp, but I appreciate that there should be some comp, things like Folding Fortress and certain outrageously overpowered characters. You don't want to have them on the battlefield every time you play. But the fact is that I do want to play something different, and I do want to mix it up a little bit. And while I'm still building up my VC Undead Legions army, I've got a whole bunch of dwarves, as people know, especially if you've been following any of my recent videos. And I'm just looking at some non-standard lists. I saw Anthony put up a list of Wood Elves that was very non-standard. Obviously, not top competitive, but not an invasion list. So I've been looking at, since I started looking at dwarves, at an army that was non-standard also, and probably is going to be laughed at. But it's an army that is kind of a variation on what a lot of people know as the Strollers list. The Strollers list typically is a list with a lot of scouting and ambushing, and the runes that allow you to vanguard a lot of units that normally wouldn't vanguard. So you can get a lot closer into the action. Now, the way I look at it with the Strollers list is, and a lot of people say that it's not as competitive as the main dwarf list with a lot of Warmachines. The way I look at it is, if you want to get into the action, if you want to be part of, a really, dug-in game where you're really getting in with some action, and not have people constantly moan and groan about running a gun line, or just having to always run to the dwarves. I like the Strollers list. I like the idea of doing something a little bit different, and I've been doing that with my vampire accounts. Anybody who's seen some of my early videos, or knows me from either when I first started getting into the hobby or whatnot, I'm a big follower of Matthew Reeson. I love his videos, and I really bought in when he had his vampires accounts without vampires list, and I really went heavy on that. I mean, I built up a large list with Cryptars and zombies and skeletons and Graveguard, and I took Necromancers mostly, and White Kings, and it was very successful. I've won much more than I've lost with those, and won more games than when I had the big Vampire Lord and the big Vampire Bus in a unit of Mounted Black Knights. So I like the alternate type lists that you don't see with the general net lists online, and themes. I love themes. Anybody who knows all the conversion stuff that I've done and how I'm trying to build my armies, I try to build them around themes, which is ironic because my VC army is built around being undead Bretonnians, and most of the time I play it without the Bretonnian cavalry. In any case, getting back to the dwarves, I have a list up here which is basically my dwarves without Warmachines list. And the idea then being that, it's not just a Strollers list, it's just a list that I want to get into the thick of it as quickly as possible. I want to be as far down the board as I can. If you're going to be an avoidance list, or a shooty list, or a heavy magic list, whatever, I want these dwarves to be up in your face. And dwarves can stick in there. They're expensive. You don't have usually massive units. But the way I look at it is, if I have a lot of units and I can just overwhelm somebody with scouts, with ambushers, and with lots of blocks, even though they're not going to be very big, I'm going to be forcing them to make lots of choices, and I think it would be a lot of fun. So here's my theory. So let's go down the list. So, and I might want to change this. So please, if you're a dwarf player, or even if you're just like looking at the stuff and you get involved in the whole theory hammer thing, please feel free to bring in whatever opinions you have, suggestions, alternatives. I have a couple ways that I've built this already. So I'm more than open to adjustments and to input. So Longbeards, I took a sizable unit of Longbeards at a recent one-day tournament, and you might see some of the videos that I have up on that. I've already got one of them up. I took about 20 plus, about 23 or so, and they did really well. And even though they got shut to hell, even though I had maybe, I don't know, less than 10 left with, characters, when they finally get into hand-to-hand combat, they did really, really well. And I like them. I like them with shields. I like that they're a little more sticky with shields. I think that it's strength 4. I don't need to have them as great weapons. If I wanted to go great weapons, I can go hammers. But I like that they have an ability to mitigate some of the panic tests, because I'm not going with the over crazy stubborn stuff that a lot of people might normally see. I'm going to test this out without the banner, because I like the idea of having that banner of Grungy. Or Grungy, I don't know. Again, I still know how it's pronounced. So if somebody wants to tell me what the proper pronouncement is, please put it in the comments. But it really worked out really well for me, because I'm thinking that if I'm not taking Warmachines, my opponent's certainly going to be, in many cases, taking Warmachines. So I need some protection, and I like that the idea that at least I can get maybe 3 units. Within 6 inches, I can get 1 unit on either side of whoever's holding that banner, and I can get a 5-up save on any shooting, and any magic missile. So it does afford me a little bit of defense against certain types of magic as well. And while 5-up is not, it's not great, it's not bad either. I'll still get, unless anything reduces armor completely, I'll get armor saves as well. And of course, all the dwarves are decked out in heavy armor. So. Here, I decided I want to take a nice large unit of Longbeards. I went with a 30 strong, 29 plus the champion, and I took the Rune of Sanctuary for an additional magic protection, which would add on to with the banner of Grungy. I'm going to call it Grungy unless I'm told otherwise. So this unit's going to have a 5 plus unless that banner is the standard banner is destroyed. So I'm going to have a 4-up against magic missiles, which I like. I like that a lot. Plus I have the Stroller's Rune. So these guys will be able to Vanguard up. And I want these guys up there to be in a position to take it to my opponent and to try and stick in if they're elite weapon skill 5, and I might have one or two of my characters in here. So they're going to be the cornerstone of the of getting in your face and really drawing the attention of my opponents. And I feel that they're probably going to be targeted in a lot of ways for Warmachines and for magic. So I wanted to have them have some good defense. But this is my bait. Next, I have a unit of miners. Now, I wanted a larger unit of miners to complement what's further down the list. I'll get to them in a minute, which is the Rangers. But I figured a 20-man unit of miners, that's a good size unit. I'm gonna have, it's a nice block. I have 1 prospector, and I have blasting charges and a steam drill. I could probably lose either one or both of those and save a few points. Well, I'm fine with that. But this is full command. I wanted them in there for the potential for, and I like the idea of having the blasting charges because I could stand and shoot with them. But this is going to be my, my distraction in the backfield, going after Warmachines, going after any other shooting units or any bunkers. I want to be able to leave my opponents guessing and have them have to prepare for these guys to come on board. They could get shot up, they could get wiped out pretty quickly, especially against really good shooting units. But I want people to think, and it's a lot of points, 300 points. But I mean, I'm spending about that much and more for just about every one of these units. So then I have the Iron Breakers. Now I'm not really sure if how I'm going to go about this one. I have a double Rune of Slowness on this one. They're not going to be vanguarded up because I don't have Strollers, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to get these guys up there and into the action. This is one that I've been struggling with, where I would probably take maybe I could take the points out of the Iron Breakers and maybe take a unit of Hammerers. But I wanted to have another big block, another kind of a shit kicker unit, and they stick in there really good. Iron Breakers are really tough. So I'm not sure if I'll stick with the Rune of Slowness with them, or the double Rune of Slowness. I might actually see how I can adjust that. So if you have any opinions, please feel free. But I wanted another strong block of defensive type troops, And if I get to charge with these guys, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to put the Rune of Slowness on them, was that if they do get charged, then I have at least the opportunity, if somebody gets a failed charge against me, of doing a counter charge. My worry is that they're going to get left behind because they don't have the Stroller's Rune. So this is where I might actually make some serious adjustments, specifically with the Iron Breakers. Next on the list is the Iron Drakes. And I love the Iron Drakes. I absolutely love them, and they work very well for me in 3 games, actually 4 games that I played with them, but 3 games at the tournament. This is the one that I have the Stroller's Rune on, so I figured they have an 18-inch range. That's, if I can get them up there with a Vanguard, and I don't get, pushed back with Vanguards, with my opponent maybe getting the first turn and kind of hamstringing me, then I think I can get these Iron Drakes really up and close to be able to do some serious damage with their shooting. In any case, the Iron Drakes, I just think that they can fight nearly as good as any of these units, and they certainly can dish it out on the offense. And one thing that I had completely forgotten in the tournament that I played with them was that they shoot. Their flaming their flaming is in their shooting, but not in their hand-to-hand. So they're not considered a flaming unit. So if somebody just get in on them with like the Dragon Maiden Gem, or the Dragon Helm, they're not going to be affected once we get into hand-to-hand. They will be affected by the stand and shoot, but not on the hand-to-hand. And that's something that I completely, somebody pointed out to me after the tournament, and I completely forgot about that. I forgot about a number of things. So as you'll see in the videos. So there's my Iron Drakes. I love them. Next is Bugman's Rangers. Now, I also, as you can see further on down, I have Joseph Bugman. So I'll talk about them in the same breath. I like having, I'm actually thinking of getting the Avatars of War box of Pathfinders. I think they really look good. They don't look too dramatically different from the Warhammer stuff. Matter of fact, from what I understand, the guy who sculpts for Avatars of War and Warthrone, it was a GW guy. And then I don't feel like converting up a whole mess of these guys, even though I have probably about an extra 40 warriors that I probably don't need. In any case, I like the idea of Rangers. I know that they're way overpriced. I wanted to give them a shield, and I upgraded them to Bugman's Rangers, which gives them an extra strength and toughness and weapon. A strength, weapon skill, and ballistic skill. That's big. I really like that. I like the idea that that they're going to start off at strength 4 if I decide to go, weapon and shield. If I can use, they have their utility, so I can use their crossbows if I need to, and they get charged. I have their hand axes, which gives another +1 strength, even though it's a range of 6. They're going to be able to stand and shoot with them because they're quick to fire. And they're going to be at strength. They're going to be strength 5 for those, for the stand and shoot, which is great. So if I can get maybe I can get a weapon, a runesmith up with one of the units that eventually can pop into it. They'll even be that much more dangerous with an armor piercing, which that's wishful thinking, but still, this is a extremely expensive unit, but they have so many uses and they scout. So I'm hoping that I can, this is another unit that I'm hoping I can get really up there. It's going to depend on terrain and deployment, so it could be a lot of waste of points, but I just want to try them out, and I like the idea of them, and I like Bugman. And then I'll go to the next thing, before I go to the Quarrelers, since I already went over the Iron Drakes. I like Grim Burlixon. I could drop him, though. I'd rather keep Bugman in as my... I'd rather keep Bugman in as my as the special character that I bring, and not bring Burlixon. I can bring them both. It's certainly doable. But I'm wasting a lot of points with these 2 very expensive guys. They're both 165 points. And I probably could spend those points with some other things that I'll go over in a second. But if I bring Grim Burlixon, he can do a lot of things. He can help out with the Quarrelers, which you can see I have as the next bullet, and I'll get to those in a second. But mainly I want to bring him in with the Iron Drakes. I took 19 Iron Drakes. There's a spot well left over for him right now. I could stroll him up there. He's decent in combat, although I've learned that you don't challenge hand-to-hand against an orc big boss with him. But he's sufficiently tough. He can do some serious damage. He can break magic weapons. But his big thing is that he enhances certain units with certain abilities. And one of them is that anybody with handguns or crossbows, you can add 2d6 to their range, which is huge. But the thing that it does apply to the Iron Drakes is he can you have to choose which one. You can't do both. But one of them is that you can allow your unit to re-roll misses in the shooting phase, and that's great because Iron Drake's only ballistic skill 3, and they're going to get really hampered by things like being in long range because it's only 18 inches. They don't have any issues with move and because they can move and shoot. They can't march and shoot, but they can move and shoot. But they it's a short range, so they're almost always going to get long range, and the skirmishing, terrain, modifiers. They're going to get hurt with that. So if they can get enhanced by Burluxon's ability to reroll, I forget now if he can give them their ballistic skill. I think that might be just another ability that I'm thinking about. But in any case, this is something that makes them much more dangerous. And I like to have the idea of having Burluxon. But I can take Burluxon out, because if I could use those points for, say, more runesmiths, or one more runesmith and maybe a few more rank and file guys, I can do that, and I would be happy to do that. So if you think that's a good idea, weigh in. But I like the idea of what Burluxon brings to this unit. A little more of a fighty guy that I can add in there, but he makes that Iron Drake unit really seriously scary. And the fact that I can stroll as up that unit means that they'll pretty much only, I'm almost guaranteed on turn 1, at least at turn 2, to be able to get the effectiveness and start really ripping into units. So next is the Quarrelers. Now I'm not taking any Warmachines. That's the whole point of this list, and I needed some points in core. I didn't want to go put one unit of in core with all Longbeards, or I thought about maybe taking more miners, because I think they're going to get beat to hell once they come on the board. But I wanted another unit, and I wanted something else that I could perhaps support at long range. I thought about potentially taking the Thunderers, which I guess I could do because Thunderers have a longer range. But I felt that that I decided to go with the Quarrelers. I could go either way. So I know there's a debate, just like there is between Ironbreakers and Hammerers. There's also debate between Quarrelers and Thunderers. So if people have an opinion, feel free to throw it in there. But one of the nice advantages of the Thunderers is that they have the extra strength attack, and both these units are going to be move or fire. They can't move and fire. I just decided to stick with the Quarrelers. So that can be changed. So let me know what you think about that too. So further on down the list, I have a couple of characters, and this is where I think I'm going to be failing a little bit. I only have one Runesmith. Now, I like the Rune Lord. I think I might need the Rune Lord. I know a lot of people don't like playing the Rune Lord because he's a lot of points, but I like being able to steal a die and have a little more of a powerful character in hand-to-hand. And I'm not sure if he is more powerful in hand-to-hand. He worked pretty well for me in my tournament games, but I might need an extra Runesmith, and I think that's something where where either I make some changes. Maybe if I lose Grim Burluxon, I could take an extra Runesmith or two, and that's a big deal because maybe I can take some more another double or single rune of spellbreaking, and I might need that. So that's certainly of concern, and certainly something that I would be interested in doing, because I'm probably going to get destroyed with magic, because I'm only taking this one Runesmith, and even though he's got a one rune of spellbreaking, and he's got a double rune of spellbreaking, that's going to be only one round of combat. And what I found in my games so far with the Dwarves is by turn 3, unless I've killed the caster, it's wild abandon. Almost all the spells get through. I can stop one spell, but whatever shit kicker spell is left, if I haven't destroyed it with spellbreaking runes beforehand, they're getting off. They're getting off. So there's not a lot. That +2 doesn't really help you very much. So I might have to go and make some adjustments and take more Runesmiths so I can take more spellbreaking runes. Plus, I got the added benefit of throwing these Runesmiths in more units so I can get more armor piercing. So that's something that's a possibility. I might actually wind up doing that. And then I have the Thane, and this is, he's my standard bearer, and this is where the Master Rune of Grungni. There you go. I must be mispronouncing that. I don't know if it's Grungni. That can't be. It's got to be Grungni. And that's where I love that rune. That and the Valaya rune, I think, are the two favorites. I like stuff like that counters things. I like the spoiler effects of certain items. And certain items that can be to great effect, like the the ability to give stubborn and have a stubborn on several of these units, really is very dwarfy. But I think with having the Longbeard units, I can have kind of like a lesser version of that, and maybe have my cake and eat it too with the idea of having some shooting protection, which I'm really going to need with the way this unit is. I envision having the 3 main blocks, Longbeards, Iron Drakes and the Iron Breakers moving up, so they're going to be covered by this rune, which the 5-up for versus shooting and versus magic missile spells, and I'll have the Quarrelers or Thunderers in the back, covering them at least for a good distance. Anything that tries to move up, or any Vanguards, maybe I can clear up some Vanguards early, or anything that might scout or whatnot. I might have an option to do, to help with that. But some long distance coverage, since I don't have any Warmachines. And then I have 2 units that are going to pop into the board from wherever, and that's kind of where I'm headed with this in terms of the theory. So let me know what you think, and if you have any opinions or adjustments or thoughts, modifications, that any input that you have on this is welcome. Have a great day, everybody.